Hi everyone, John Arnold here, and I want to welcome you to another Practical Disciple video. Today's video is on prayer, and I want to delve into something that I think is kind of a silent killer of people's prayer lives, and they don't even realize it because we don't tend to see the connection between what I'm going to talk about and prayer. And specifically what I want to dig in to is the fact that we have lost any real sense of Sabbath by and large in our culture. You know, Sunday has become something that is a day to catch up, get homework done before we go back to school on Monday, knock out laundry, mow the lawn, have a day of golfing. It's a time of killing chores that we've neglected maybe through the week or not had time for. And I look all around me and I see people who are living in a hurry and a scurry and a rush. I'm in the same boat. I do it way too much, where I just load my week so full I can't possibly get everything done that I need to, and I need every spare minute that's left over to chunk out one more task, one more task, one more task. Well, it's really hard to be holy, and I use that in the most literal sense of the word, set apart for a godly purpose. It's really hard to be holy, have holy lives in a hurry. I don't know much you can do in terms of being really present to what's going on and honoring God while just rushing. So here's though where I think the rub is between our prayer life and our need for physical rest. And that's one of the things that the Sabbath does. The Sabbath we were commanded to hold it so that it would be holy and that it would be a day of rest. And we need that rest. We physically need it. There's a really intimate connection between our physical body and our spirituality, our spirit, if you will. I didn't really get that until, I don't know, I guess it was maybe 5 years ago or so. And during Lent one year, I had committed to, I was going to try to pray an hour a day. And the first question everybody asks is, well, did you do it all at once? Usually not. Typically what I did was I did a half hour in the morning and a half hour in the evening. That was the goal at least. And the first half of that would be sitting silently before God. And that one, that was the hardest one by far. 30 minutes sitting quietly before God, trying to listen. At least initially, if you haven't done that much, can feel like an absolute eternity. And I used to have a really solid discipline in doing that in college and seminary, and I got away from it. I used a technique called centering prayer. It was just a way to be quiet and still before God and listen. Well, what happened was, I remember very vividly one of the very first day of Lent where I tried to do centering prayer, and I went to a prayer closet at a hospital that was halfway between my home and the church. And I went in and I sat down and I had a watch, took a look at it, decided I was going to sit there and center for 20 minutes, just be quiet and still before God and listen. So I'm sitting there and I feel like I've been sitting for an eternity. I'm fidgety and I can't kind of get focused. And I finally thought, man, I wonder how long I've been sitting here. I looked at my watch and I kid you not, it had only been 2 minutes. And I thought, oh my goodness, how in the world am I ever going to do 10 times this? Now, I knew from past experience it wasn't going to kill me and I could do it. That was the start of it, and that just gives you a sense of how out of kilter I was, that it was almost impossible for me to sit still for 2 minutes. After about 10 days, I got to a point, it was on the 10th day, that I remember looking at my watch, wondering how long I'd been sitting there, and it was the first time I glanced at it, and I was right at 20 minutes. And it just felt like, I had just gotten started, and I was in a completely different place. Well, simultaneously what was going on was I noticed that my sleep pattern was changing. And I've always had what I call like a run-on engine, and maybe some of you guys have owned a car where you turn the key off, but the car just keeps going, and it kind of shudders to a halt. That's kind of how my mind and body were. I would lay down in bed, and I'm just laying on the bed, just kind of chugging to a halt and unable to give it up, you know, like turn off the light, try to turn off the key in my head, and the engine just keeps going on and on and on. Well, after about 10 days of prayer, where I was really sinking myself deeply in prayer, just being still before God, that pretty much cleaned up my run-on engine, if you will. And during that period, I realized, and I'm not sure, it's kind of a chicken and egg thing, I realized that a lack of rest was severely hindering my ability to pray. It messed with my ability to stay focused, to be attentive, to be alert, to be awake. It also, I think, was the other way around. My lack of prayer was part of the source of having a lack of peace in my life, so that I could rest at night and I could lay my head down and let go. So, you know, we need Sabbath. I think we need it literally in the sense of a day a week where we honest to goodness rest and don't just try to hurry and scurry and catch up. But we also need Sabbath in the sense of we need to get good rest and have good sleep patterns. And if you're struggling to focus in prayer, if you're struggling to be consistent in prayer, I'd almost be surprised if part of the issue wasn't the fact that you were fatigued and overworked or scattered in attention because you're doing too much. So get really intentional about that sleep thing. Take some corrective measures to correct both sleep, and then once a week, you know, carve out a niche where you're just, you know, I call it loafing with the Lord. That's a name. It's a phrase I picked up from a monk in a monastery. Talk about loafing with the Lord. And I'm going to wrap up the video with that. In fact, I think it's time now for me to practice a little bit of what I've been preaching. And I'm going to kick back on my hammock and going to hit my Bible reading for the day and call it quits. So I'll see you all in the next video. Happy Sabbath to you. And I hope that you get some good rest and have a deeper prayer life because of it. Bye now. Are you still here? What are you doing? The video's over. Go rest. Go do something other than hanging out here with me. I'm going to have my Bible reading, get a little Sabbath stilling. If you haven't downloaded my book, go download my book, Tips on Prayer. It's still free until Wednesday on Amazon. Links below. Actually, it's right down here. Anyways, go download the book. In there, I have a whole section about getting rest. And I share 10 tips on how to sleep better so that you pray better. Okay, I'm going to go back to my reading now, and again, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.